Well, fans, it is finally a game day. Holy smokes. It seems like it's been forever. I know it's only been a week, but, Christmas is a long weekend for some people. So finally, the Caps will take on the Nashville Predators. And I'm being joined by someone who knows a thing or two about this hockey club. He's going to help me break down the Predators here on Locked On Capitals.
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Capitals, a game day edition of Locked On Capitals. Oh my goodness, guys, doesn't it just feel so good? I am the insider of the insiders, Tyler Kuehl, your host as always, getting ready for the Washington Capitals game tonight against the Nashville Predators. We'll break down the matchup of the teams, how both teams have looked, and I got a little bit of a helping hand here to kind of make sure I know a thing or two about this hockey club from Smashville. And we'll get to him here in just a moment's time. Also, we're going to talk. I know it's not necessarily Locked On Capitals, but unfortunately, I did the Locked On NHL show yesterday, and this news broke after we were done recording. So I need to talk about the University of Michigan hockey team. No, not the ones that are right now beating up Austria on the World Junior stage. I'm talking the ones that are still in Ann Arbor. We'll get to all that here on this edition of Locked On Caps. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on a good colleague of mine. He is from Missouri. He is from sort of the South. He has broadcasted in the Southern Professional Hockey League. He is the former broadcaster of the University of Alabama, Huntsville. He is the best free agent broadcaster on the market. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Peyton Turnage. Peyton, how are we doing, sir? Man, Peyton, first of all, it's good to have you back, friend. How you doing, sir?
Well, it's good to have, Tyler. Just had a very Merry Christmas. I'm looking forward to a good New Year in 2022.
Yeah, remember we said that about 2021? And look, I think it's funny. So Peyton and I, so it's crazy. Peyton and I have never actually met in person. I should probably clarify that. Good friend Harrison Watt of Ferris State University, Ferris State's play-by-play guy, introduced us virtually because, well, it took Alabama Huntsville to try to cut the program the first time, and in order for us to meet up, or virtually, of course. And gosh, Peyton is one of the most prestigious group. He was one of the members of the most prestigious group out there, a member of the Kuehl Show 5 Timers Club, even though he was probably on for like 25 times.
I plead the fifth.
He played the fifth. Yeah, he was one of the alternate captains because he was the third person to join the club. But Peyton, before we get to all the hockey and whatnot, because obviously you're very well versed in the Nashville Predators, even though you're one of those people that puts their own name and number on the back of their sweater, it's okay. We'll let you have it. There's other people that do that too. But something that we haven't really gone too far into, I've kind of, addressed it a little bit on this show and other outlets. But there was, over the 2 weeks ago, there was a massive amount of tornadoes that tore through the lower Midwest across the United States, and most notably through Kentucky. I know the death count on there, unfortunately, just went up. Our thoughts and prayers, of course, always with those families down there that have been affected by this. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of cleanup that's going on here, but you yourself, you were near that. You were pretty darn close to those very devastating tornadoes, and you told me you had a story about it. I saw some of your reaction. You told me that you were really close to it, but what was that like, being around just one of the most chaotic weather scenes I think we've seen, dare I say, since, outside of a hurricane?
Well, 15 years ago, April 2nd, 2006, a major EF3 tornado swept through my town, Caruthersville, Missouri. I happened to be living in Tennessee at the time, but we were visiting family that day, and we left town 30 minutes ahead of the storm. So we could see it behind us as we were driving home. So fast forward to December 10th of this year. That's when the storm occurred. You could see the storm coming on radar as it was going out of Little Rock. Everybody on TV was saying this thing looks to be bad. It's going to be tracking up through Northeast Arkansas, through the Missouri boot heel. So I had eyes on that thing probably 2 hours before it hit. And yeah, once it got close, it's, the radar started picking up heavy bits of debris, and it was pretty certain that this was major. And my aunt called me probably about half an hour before the storm hit and said, "Hey, we're all at the storm shelter. Would you and your folks like to come?" And so I debated with my folks, hey, are we going to do this? And the consensus was we'll just hang out in the basement, which is a death trap because it's full of sharp metal and glass and all that good stuff.
Something
But
that's kind of hard to survive. Yeah.
yeah, that'd be kind of tough. So then we turned and looked at the TV, and they could see on radar that the radar beams were bouncing off the storm, and they were able to see the elevation of it and saw that debris was being lofted more than 15,000 feet and rising close to 20. And so that got all of our attention. And so, okay, let's go shelter. So we go to the middle school, and it's like a scene out of a movie. The sirens are blaring. There's lightning flashing constantly. I'm picking up the dog and running to the car. We're zooming on over to the school, and I get to the building, and there's people kind of bottlenecked out to the hallway. And I thought, oh, they're just waiting to go downstairs, into the bunker. Little did I know there is no bunker. The shelter is above ground with windows. And there's
that's the shelter
in here.
Just have people surround you. Holy cow. My goodness.
So, and it was just, everyone was just sitting around with their dogs, and it's people of all kinds of backgrounds and denominations. And here we were just kind of sitting ducks. And then they said, well, this building is built pretty substantially, should be able to withstand a strong tornado. But I don't know. I mean, knowing what we know now, seeing the devastation, we're very blessed that we didn't get hit. We were just before the storm hit. My mom, being the faithful woman that she is, clapped her hands and yelled, "We need to say the Lord's Prayer." And so we did it, except that she screwed up halfway through, and it made it even more awkward.
Did she throw an F-bomb in there?
I almost did.
Our Father who art in bleep in heaven, get us out of here.
A week later, my cousin, who's a nurse practitioner in a county north of here, had an older lady come in and see her, and she said that she was from Caruthersville, and of course my cousin asked her, well, did you get hit by the storm? Was everything okay? And she said, oh yeah, well, I was at the shelter. We didn't have anything to worry about. She said, this tall lady came in, clapped her hands, said, we got to pray. And so my cousin said, well, what did you do? So, well, we prayed.
That's kind of funny. I would listen. The people down there, like I said, we hope they can get better soon, because there's obviously devastation. And while there's always stories you can kind of chuckle when how people act like that, it is very serious. And like I said, we hope everyone can get back on their feet there. I know there's been a lot of help. A lot of folks, even from Michigan here, have sent some stuff down, some supplies and whatnot, and the American Red Cross and whatnot. So let's hope they can, like I said, get through it here. Now let's move to the hockey side of things, Peyton. I know I'm horrible I'm great at some segues, but unfortunately with transitions, I am the worst. Just ask my old skating coach. That was the reason why I was a goaltender. Couldn't go forward to backwards that well. Nashville and Washington tonight. And this is, first of all, it's the first game for both of these teams since the holiday break, which I know there's been a lot of, people on both sides of what the NHL decided to do here. Also, the fact that this is the first time that these two teams have played since, January of 2020. This has been it's been a little bit. It's been a minute there, Peyton, since these two teams have met. But right now, you and I discussed in the summer, the Nashville Predators, we didn't go full Pierre Dorian. They're a team, but did you really have high expectations for this team coming into the season?
Not at all. I expected them to be a bubble team at worst, or at best, really. What we're seeing right now is much like what we saw in the 2021 shortened season. A team that doesn't quite have an identity. I mean, they're starting to build on one, the quote-unquote Predator way, where you out-grit teams. And we've seen that quite a bit lately. And yes, they're on a 7-game winning streak coming into this game, but you look at some of the teams they beat. New Jersey, Montreal, the New York Islanders, who have been struggling mightily, and the Colorado Avalanche, who had major COVID issues right before the break. So it's still hard to get a read on this team, even though they are technically hot coming into this game.
Yeah, 7 straight wins right now, and I believe it's them and the Pittsburgh Penguins that have the longest win streaks, right? At least the current active win streaks, which is, I mean, like, that's the thing too. I mean, this team has found ways to win games, and some people out there say that UC Saros should have gotten some Hart Trophy recognition by the way he played last year. How has he played in your eyes this season?
There was a lot of speculation coming into this year. Can UC Saros continue his performance? He had a strong 2021. He was strong as Pekka Rinne's backup, but this has really been his first year as the guy. And yes, they have Riddick, and they've called up Connor Ingram, but Saros has shouldered quite a bit of the load here. He's already played 24 games this season. Now, I was looking on NHL.com, and they kind of have the stats combined with wins and save percentage. And right now, he's fifth on that list behind Tristan Jarry, 15 wins and a .924 save percentage. And we usually have a read on how teams and certain players are doing through the Thanksgiving weekend. And so Saros, here we are about to enter the new year, and he's still putting up tremendous numbers. So he's living up to the hype and then some.
Yeah, and that's really important too, because there was a big question, for even myself, because I know obviously he got the starts in the 2020 bubble in the qualifying round against Arizona and didn't quite work out as well for the Predators. And we thought, man, is Saros really going to be the guy? And then he decided to drag the team into the playoffs last year. And like you mentioned, .924 save percentage, 2 shutouts this year. He's been sensational. We'll continue on here talking about the Predators here in just a moment's time. But I must pause to tell you guys, it is the new year, so that means New Year's resolutions. If yours is about getting fit and eating healthier, then you got to make Built Bar part of your plan. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, maybe even better than a candy bar, as it makes it easier to stick to your resolution because it tastes good and you'll want to eat it, unlike other protein bars, which can be chalky, waxy, or just taste like a chemical spill. You want to eat healthy, but it gets so boring. And by like week 3, you're thinking, is this even worth it? It's not even chocolate. Well, guys, Built Bar, the ones that are covered in chocolate, are 100% real chocolate. So here's an idea for you. Go to all your secret treat stashes at home, in the pantry, and office, and in the car, wherever. Throw out all the sugary, calorie-filled treats and replace them with Built Bars. Go to Built.com right now to use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. Once again, that is LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. See, Peyton, on this show, I have to make sure we pay the bills here. See, we didn't really have any bills to worry about in the old show that we were doing. So we have to make sure that our folks there are nice and happy, because obviously with all the great products that we have, including, I got some free stuff right here on the table. I don't want to show it because it'd be awkward if I reached off camera and stuff, even though we had Wixie on yesterday, so I can't really say too much. Gosh, but anyways, where were we, Peyton? What were we talking about? We're talking about
tornadoes? No.
Tornadoes? Cheeseburgers. We're talking about cheeseburgers, right? I love how I say cheeseburgers and I hear Wixie down the hall jump up and start running around. Gosh almighty. She's not fat, I promise, guys. All right, Peyton. So let's stick it back to the Preds here. Right now, they are second in the division. Now, yes, a lot of the games are kind of skewed. The Colorado Avalanche are fourth in the division last time I checked, which is still considered, right? No, wait, I thought they were fourth. Yes, they are fourth behind the St. Louis Blues. However, they played the fewest games in the Central Division. Nashville and Minnesota have each played 30. Only St. Louis is the only team in that division that's played 31 games. I know you mentioned how this team has played games and against, lackluster teams, or you mentioned the Islanders and COVID protocol issues with the Colorado Avalanche, even though in that game, Nashville had a few guys out as well. Is this team a second place team in your eyes, or a team that's, dare I say, battling for a division title?
They're a team that I think can battle for it, but you look at their system, and again, they can grip their way to victories, but I'm not sure if it's exactly sustainable to stay up at the top end of the conference. I still think they're still around a bubble team, right around that wild card mark. Now, I think their chances are quite a bit better as we've seen this season roll along. But the top spots in each division are reserved for teams that have high-end skill and can put a full team effort together. Nashville, they've got a little bit of skill, and they've had a big resurgence with Matt Duchene. Philip Forsberg's come back into the lineup and performed well. Mikael Granlund's been a disher for the ages, but I still don't think it's going to be quite enough to stay up there on that top end of the Central.
I gotta know this. Someone has to look up the stat, because I'm not sure if Bobby Orr led the Boston Bruins back in the 70s in points. If he did, it may have happened. But right now, Roman Josi is leading the team in points again. Is this going to happen a third year in a row? Like, I don't know if this has ever happened. I know, like I mentioned, Bobby Orr is probably one of the greatest players in the history of hockey, the best defenseman, dare I say. But yet here's Roman Josi about to pull off something that I don't think has ever happened. Now, you can chalk that up to the fact that, the Predators have maybe had slight dips in offensive production from certain players, like you mentioned, Duchesne and Granlund really coming around this year. But the fact that Roman Josi is still at the top of his game, dare I say, enough to lead an NHL team in points as a defenseman. I mean, what more can we say about the Preds captain?
He's maintained a high level, and I think he's even played even better than his Norris Trophy year. And yes, when a defenseman wins a Norris, you want them to be a great all-around defenseman, but he has brought it tremendously on the offensive side. You look at that goal he scored against Detroit, weaving through the whole defense, that quick fadeaway shot against Colorado where he's drifting to the right and the shot just skims to the left. He's just been an incredible player, and he's getting up there in age. I mean, he was drafted back in 2008. So some of those guys are starting to show their age, but Josi's kept his foot on the gas, and I think once again he's going to be a prime contender for the Norris, and probably will go ahead and lead the Preds in points once again, unless Philip Forsberg can catch back up.
That is true, and Forsberg certainly has the touch. I'm looking at Hockey Reference right now. Bobby Orr led the Bruins in 1970, and then went on to finish second in team scoring in the next 3 seasons behind Phil Esposito. So now, this is not me implying that Bobby Orr or Roman Josi is better than Bobby Orr. I don't want people flying in the comments for that. But he's been good. And I know people when Shea Weber left, back in 2016 when he was traded, everyone thought that was going to hurt Josi. And I say he's only gotten better. You mentioned Philip Forsberg here, and he was really at his peak during that 17 Cup run here. But he seems like he still has a guy that has that ability to still be a big-time player for this hockey club.
He's got that power. He came out with that 4-goal game against Columbus. He had 2 goals, nearly a hat trick against Colorado. He's always had it. Just the only problem is, and we might need a mad scientist to figure this out, is that he's so streaky. It's amazing. When I look back at some of his previous games recently, again, the 4-goal game against Columbus, then nothing against Boston. 2 games later, nothing against Detroit and against the Islanders, but then an assist, and then the 2 goals, one assist game against the Avalanche. So when he wants to perform, he does, and then sometimes he just has some off nights. So that's what, and there was a debate a handful of years ago, is Philip Forsberg a superstar? Greg Wyshynski was the one who brought up that debate. And he would be if he was more consistent, but we're just seeing a Philip Forsberg that is capable, but for some reason is held off by his streakiness.
And that's something that there are some guys that, are pretty consistent through the games and through the season. And, the Washington Capitals have seen Alex Ovechkin the way he's played. And while Kuznetsov has been up and down over lately because of some COVID issues, he had a pretty solid start to the year. It's not an easy thing to be a consistently top end player. It's never easy to do it. For a guy, we mentioned 20, 25 goals is an impressive year nowadays, which means sometimes you don't score for 3 or 4 games. And the fact that you're able to still put up games and put up good performances is a sign of a good player. Last question here before we get to our predictions for the game here, Peyton. Who do you think is someone that needs to step up and play better? I know we talked about how this team is exceeding expectations prior to the season, and they're in a playoff hunt. They're in a division title hunt right now as we come back from the holiday break. But who is someone that you're watching that you say, I want more from?
Eeli Tolvanen. It's time for Eeli Tolvanen.
Your guy, Eeli Tolvanen has been that's been your guy for, gosh, when did he get drafted?
2017.
There you are.
There was a lot of hype from him. He was a bullet train coming from the Finnish national team. He played great at the World Juniors. He was a star for them at the Olympics. He lit the lamp for Jokerit in the KHL, but we just haven't quite seen that with the Predators yet. He's been up and down the lineup, but I will say, though, he has really improved his defensive game. And so if they can just find a way to make him more of a consistent performer offensively, then that's only going to help him. And I think his days of going up and down from the minors are over. So now he's just got to consistently keep bringing it at the NHL level. And he had that great hot streak last year. I think he had goals, and I'd have to look back at it. I want to say it was 5 straight or more. Multiple power play goals where he would score on a crossbody slap shot. So he's got it. We just need to see more of it.
Yeah, right now 11 points so far this year, which is not bad. And it's tough for a player like him because for the first few years there he was in the organization. I mean, it was hard because he would go to Milwaukee and then he'd get called up for a couple games, wouldn't do anything. Everyone's like, see, he's a bad player, goes back down to Milwaukee and gets called up for 2 more games and gets sent back down again. Like, it's really difficult for a player to find consistency. And maybe, like you mentioned, he had that hot streak last year, and maybe this is his sophomore slump. We'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, there's still a lot of hockey to be played here. So now let's look at this game tonight. The Washington Capitals, by the way, are having a bit of a COVID bug themselves. Now, unlike the United States World Junior team, they are allowed to play this game because of now the new taxi squad initiative and whatnot. Actually, I'll ask you about that, Peyton. What is your take on this taxi squad coming back here? I talked with Mike DiStefano on the Locked On NHL show yesterday. We both like the fact that it's back so we can get these games in for this cause, because right now I think was there 6 Washington Capitals on COVID protocol right now, including a goaltender. Do you like the taxi squad coming back here? Do you think it's going to really, I don't want to say stop this spread, but kind of just help get the season kind of getting some consistency again?
We should have been around all along, especially as a backup option. At least have something on the table just in case you need it. So it's become a necessary evil, especially with the Omicron variant sweeping across all these teams. They made some adjustments to where a team, I think St. Louis ran into this problem. A couple other teams ran into the problem where if they need to call a goalie up, it's not going to be, an act of Congress to get a goalie on your roster.
Yeah, and that's a real good sign. And with that, we're probably going to see Michael Kempney get his first game since March of 2020. So maybe that's a sign. Maybe that's a sign the pandemic is over there, Peyton. Michael Kempney back in the lineup. It's over because
It's not over because we were talking about Roman Josi, but you won't have to worry about him tonight. He's also on protocol. Just got put on yesterday.
Oh, geez. And of course, how many did Nashville have out in that Colorado game? Was it 6 or was it 7?
6, 7, or 8, something like that. It was pretty high. I mean, they were very close to having to postpone. It was surprising that 1, they were able to play, and 2, that they won so big.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, and the Avs had some problems as well. Of course, Kemper and Makar got pulled right before that game. Caps right now who have COVID protocol: Daniel Sprong, Justin Schultz, Nick Jensen, Vitek Vanacek, Martin Fehervari, and Dennis Cholowski. Kuznetsov and Backstrom, of course, just got pulled off COVID because they skated yesterday. Or they skated on Monday, excuse me. They should be tonight. Hopefully, we'll see if anything changes when we see the morning skate later on today, which we'll kind of discuss tomorrow when we recap the game between the Preds and the Caps. Peyton, who do you have winning this game? Don't worry, you don't have to feel like you have to play favorites. I've done a really good job and have a good run of picking against the Washington Capitals. How do you think this game ends tonight?
Is Ovechkin healthy?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what healthy is with him because he gets banged up and he still scores 2 goals. Like, it's weird.
If he's in the lineup, that guy has been, I mean, he pressed the God button before the season started. So I think Ovechkin's going to turn it back on, and I think the Capitals end up winning. I'm going to guess 4-2.
4-2. An empty netter, probably. Yeah. I mean, he's second in the league with goals for a reason, 22. And only behind Leon Draisaitl. And it's funny because I don't want to say he's been on a bit of a cold spell, but he's gone a little quiet on the goal side of things. Has had a few good assist markers. I mean, he's dare I say, Alex Ovechkin, the playmaker this year. 47 points so far for Ovi. I've always heard the story that this is a 3-2 league, and with the goaltending we may see tomorrow, it's all signs, despite Phoenix Copley getting called up, all signs are seeing Ilya Samsonov versus UC Saros. Correct, Peyton? I didn't see him on the COVID list, right?
He's still active as of now. So.
All right, perfect. And of course, we're recording this on Tuesday night, so obviously a lot can change because heck, COVID, it's the real thing, guy. And so, yeah, I'm gonna go 3-2, and you know what? For some reason, Philip Forsberg's going to stick it to his former team. I know Martin Erat trade wasn't that like a decade ago now, eh? Like
2013.
2013, that's right. Holy cow. Because
shortened season.
I still remember I still remember people screaming, "Oh my goodness, Martin Erat, he's the next big thing." He went to Washington and did nothing, did nothing at all.
I tell you what, speaking of that, if people can correctly guess my age, I'll throw in a free copy of, what is this? Gold Record, the history of hockey in Music City. And in this, David Poyle brags about how a player had never asked him for a trade out of Nashville. And that was recorded a season prior to Martin Erat asking his way out of town in one of the worst trades of all time.
My goodness, David Poyle, the master of getting players for too much or too little, whatever you want to call it. Well, my goodness. Now I think you've told me your age before, but I forget because you're older than me, which means you're older than Harrison because Harrison's 1 year older than I am. Oh, I can't guess it then because well, Harrison and I would have graduated if I had actually gone through college and been a good Samaritan and done all that crap and paid an extra $35,000. I would have graduated in 2017 with Harrison. That's why I always like to joke with him whenever I see him, like, hey, or sometimes I'm like, that you and I would have graduated the same year, right? You and I would have gone for the same gigs and same job, right? Because, of course, Harrison now Harrison, that's not a knock at Harrison. Harrison is, dare I say, one of the best in the game right now. I think he's one of the best voices. And there's a reason why he called games over Al Randall at Scott Moore at the last true Great Lakes Invitational back in Detroit. And Peyton, I'm pretty sure you can attest to that.
As far as he goes. Now, those other guys, I have no idea.
Scott and Al are cool guys. Now, I wonder how Al is doing over the last 24 hours, Peyton, because you saw this story, and I myself, who have been broadcasting for Western Michigan sporadically this year, I actually have a trip coming up here in a couple weeks when we go to Colorado Springs. Get to go to the new rink out for Colorado College. That's going to be a fun trip. But the Western Michigan Broncos are going to be competing in the GLI this year, which is one of the most prestigious post-holiday tournaments in college hockey. And it's a little bit different this year because they're not in Detroit like they usually are. They're playing it in Michigan, and Michigan State are hosting 2 games each, with Western and Michigan Tech playing them both on back-to-back nights. Michigan was scheduled to play Michigan Tech on Wednesday. This without, guys like Matty Beniers and Owen Power, Kent Johnson, Jacob Truscott, Mackie Samaskevich, and so on and so forth, because they're in Edmonton and Red Deer playing in the World Junior Championships. The Thursday night game was supposed to be between number 3 Michigan, I think, and number 5 Western, a huge top 5 matchup, everyone's premier game. However, it was announced yesterday by the University of Michigan that due to health and safety wellness issues, they are not going to play the game on Thursday, even though they're still going to play the game on Wednesday against number 16 Michigan Tech. Now, Peyton, listen, and people that know me know I'm a big Michigan supporter. Michigan football has been in my blood. I remember watching Marty Turco and Billy McCult back in the day when I was a young kid. And, of course, Friday night when Michigan plays Georgia, I'll be glued to the TV. Even though I'm supposed to have friends over at this house, I'm going to be watching the football game instead. I'm very disappointed in the University of Michigan right now. When have you ever heard of a team having to cancel? I know they're saying it's a health and awareness issue. That's why they're, just canceling the game. But this just seems like a play of, we don't have our best players and we don't want to get beat even, and lose our spot in the rankings because of it.
As I told you and Harrison yesterday, that's fishier than the ocean. So I'm right there with you. How can you cancel one game and then play in the next one a night later? Just doesn't make any sense. And if you don't have any positive tests on your team, or if you have very few, then you need to play. That's just plain and simple.
Yeah, and listen, it's funny. Western Michigan has a bigger roster than University of Michigan does. I know that, but there were a lot of guys when I broadcasted the weekend of Western versus Michigan. There were a lot of guys that were scratched because, in college hockey, they have like 35 players, so they can make sure they can have players when they're out because of sort of stuff like this. And the first thing that came to my head when I saw this, first of all, shout out to Adam Bodner, because he said, I'm like, so do protocols start on Thursday then? that was the tweet that I saw. And this is where it hit me. And I would love to, because Mel Pearson worked under Red Berenson before taking his first job with Michigan Tech. And I know people in Houghton really don't like him because of that, because there's a whole story, but that's not here nor there. I would love to ask Mel, would Red Berenson do this? Would Red do, because there were many times that Michigan went into the GLI shorthanded because they have so many good players that be playing at the World Juniors. Why now? Like, why? Like, I swear, Red Berenson would never have thought of such a stupid idea.
No, and that was the guy that was tough as nails and a pure hockey legend. So I think he would have. This is far fetched, but I think he would have rather taken a team of 5 up there to compete than take the easy way out like Michigan's doing. And it's so obvious that they're doing this. You can't
Like,
fool anyone on this one.
No, and it's funny. I just watched recently the Michigan Man doc, or not doc, but the special they did honoring Red Berenson. And I remember there was a point in that '98 national championship season they were battling Michigan State for the top spot in the old CCHA, and Marty Turco was their best goaltender, and he like skipped a couple of classes. And Red said this is the last straw, and he did it one more time before the big weekend against Michigan State, and he benched Marty Turco. Marty Turco, of course, went into a long AHL career. This great goaltender, arguably the best ever to go to the University of Michigan, and he benched him in a big weekend because of breaking morale and breaking team rules, not school rules, team rules. And that's why I say to myself, I'm like, Red would not care who he has. He could play, and that team, of course, had 10 freshmen. Like he could play as many like a bunch of JV kids. He doesn't matter. He's going to play that game. So that's why this story irks me to the point where I'm like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Like, the NCAA should step in and say, no, this is a loss. That should be like a forfeit. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I never want to be in a position of power that makes those decisions. But you think, Peyton, given the circumstances, given the fact that, Michigan has said no one's tested positive. People have come at Western saying, did anyone at Western test positive? And of course, everyone at Western Michigan says, nope, we're fine. Should the NCAA step in here?
That's a tough call, and it seems like the damage has been done at this point. There's nothing you can do. If this was called much further ahead of time, I would say yes, you need intervention from the NCAA. But I think at this point, it's just too late, and now Michigan is going to sit there and look foolish.
And I remember I texted Harrison this. I'm like, so who was rooting for Tech on Wednesday? Like. First of all, the people at Michigan Tech are some of the best fans and the best people in college hockey, dare I say. I haven't been to McKinnis yet, haven't been up there to Houghton to watch a game, but I've heard Peyton Harrison always tells me, we got to go up there. We got to take you up there, even, whether it be Winterfest or the Winter Carnival or just coming up to a game in October. It's an experience, and they're proud hockey people up there. So, I think they're going to maybe take that game to heart on Wednesday.
Mitch's Misfits, baby.
Oh man. And one of the best pep bands in college hockey too. I love Michigan's band. I love the band at Ferris State's always kind of fun, but boy, oh boy, Michigan Tech's pep band, they're a riot. They're a riot to always be around. They never came down to Huntsville, right?
Not the pep band, but the Misfits did one time.
Really?
So yeah.
Then the Misfits came, season. That's like a 30-hour trip, eh? Isn't it?
Something like that. I'll shout them out. There's a podcast up there, Chasing McNaughton, the Michigan Tech podcast, and they've always been really supportive to me personally, and so I appreciate them, and Michigan Tech as well have always been kind to me. So go Tech.
Yeah. No bias here on Locked On Capitals. I know we just completely lost like 10 or people listening. Like, this ain't the Washington. Listen, I have to wait a week to get this off my chest if I want to do it on the Locked On NHL show. I'm like, let's just do it now, get it out of the way. And since, Peyton, you're a college hockey guy, you kind of have an idea about Michigan. Oh, hey, listen, Peyton, you got this. You know as well as anyone that, and I know as well as anyone that you have what it takes. Someone's going to smarten up, and unfortunately, the program that you're working for is, there are people down there that are making decisions that are just dumb. I still want my donation back, by the way. I don't know if you can send a note down there to those guys. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Brian
paid
Burke
for one season.
Yeah, I paid. Oh, you're right. You're right. I paid for that season. Brian Burke, Cam Talbot, the list goes on and on. My goodness. Mark Recchi. Mark Recchi, Sofkitis and the guys. Oh, I feel so awful for those guys because Alabama Huntsville's got to get their poop together because that's ridiculous. Anyways, enough about me ranting about the disparities in college hockey. That is it for this edition of Locked On Capitals, folks. Yes, the Nashville Predators and the Washington Capitals will be playing tonight. It'll be a puck drop at Capital One Arena tonight. Should be an exciting game between two of the best teams right now in the league, the hottest team going into the break. in Nashville, and with one of the best offensive weapons in the history of the sport. Dare I say the best scorer in the history of hockey, Alex Ovechkin. Should be a fun one, Peyton. Peyton says the Caps are going to win. I say Preds are going to win. So no matter what, we kind of win in some way or another, right?
It evens out.
It evens out. And you know what, Peyton? I know we got the World Juniors on, but NHL will have a game. There will be an NHL hockey game featuring our teams. That's nice, right?
There will. Sorry, I'm trying to get some props together for the people watching. So,
ooh, got more Pred stuff. What's on the back of that? Just
the camera's reversed, so it's kind of tricky to navigate here.
Nissan! Wow, man, that was a hard promo sweater.
Some rally towels. So
paint the town.
That was not a Nissan one.
Yeah, well, Peyton Turnage, of course, he probably got some of that stuff during the 17 Cup run. Good friend of Steve Dangle, by the way.
Did not. I did not have deep enough pockets to go to the rink in 17.
You're telling me Justin didn't get you even in there? What the heck? Pays for three guys from Toronto to come all the way down to go to a Stanley Cup Finals game. Doesn't even give you a helping hand.
No, but I will say, the Preds tickets were ridiculous and have been ridiculous since then. So I happened to be close by at the time on assignment with a former employer. And so I went to games 1 and 2 in St. Louis. So that was an experience in and of itself.
Well, there you go. You were able to go to some games and whatnot, obviously, out there. Guys, be sure to follow him at Peyton_Turnage. And if you ever hear of your college hockey broadcaster and you think he's subpar, well, write a very, not passive-aggressive, but just good-spirited email or letter to that school or team and tell them Peyton Turnage is still available.
I'll throw in a free copy of Gold Record.
Wait, you're telling me you don't want to promote Justin's book, The History of Smashville?
That's somewhere.
I'll
from this podcast that I've never finished reading that, and I've had that book for like 5 years.
Hey, it's hard to get books done, man, especially when you're busy like this. I've been reading Ken Dryden's The Game for 4 years now. So
I've been needing to catch up on Ken Reed, One Night Only, hockey card stories. Sorry.
I've gotten through both of those. Those are easy summer reads. I'll tell you that. I do need to get One Night Only. The Dennis Maruk book. Speaking of Washington Capitals fans, I mentioned this before. That is a great book. Dennis Maruk, who scored 60 goals back with the Caps back in the 80s. One of the forgotten 60 goal men. Certainly, if you are not just a Caps fan, but a person who loves reading hockey books, hockey stories, true hockey stories, Kenny Reed is the guy always to go to. Works up there in Sportsnet from Pictou, Nova Scotia.
So you were mentioning the Ken Dryden book. It's good that you're reading his book instead of getting the audiobook, because his audiobook should come with a disclaimer.
Ken Dryden has a very
calm, soothing voice that will make you fall asleep at the wheel and become a danger to yourself and others. It's happened. Come close to happened to me several times.
Oh, there's some stories because he talks about the season. So long story short, I know we're running over time here, but let's be honest. If I get fired tomorrow, so be it. I mean, I'm pretty sure they won't be missing me too much here Locked On. But anyways, no, I said this. It's about the last season that he played in, the 78-79 season, the latter half. So the last cup for that group of the Montreal Canadiens. And he kind of goes off on different stories, being from Toronto, what's it like playing in in Maple Leaf Gardens or whatever, or playing Buffalo and all this stuff, and the camaraderie of the team, whatever. But he says it because he's such a smart guy. He got a lawyer degree because he passed the bar, I think, if not mistaken. This guy was a genius at Cornell and whatnot. He's dare I say the smartest player ever to play hockey. I don't think I can probably agree. I can probably attest to that. But the fact of this is that he words things so eloquently, and it's so soothing, even reading it by myself. You just kind of get a little bit of a nice, calm feeling, and I just end up falling asleep reading a good book. And those are the best naps. Reading, naps while you're reading, the best. Literally the best naps. What are you flashing there?
Just various items while you're ranting away.
Listen, let's be honest. Yeah, I don't know if you were clocking me or not, but I'm pretty sure I kept all of my questions down to 2 minutes. Unlike apparently accusations of me meandering on for 5 minutes and whatnot. Peyton.
They're not accusations if they're true.
I'll be honest, I think I went back to one of the, not the ones that one of the ones we talked at, but I think it was maybe an interview with I don't know if it was Jeff Cebulski or Brian Mudryk, but it just took me a while to get to the point of the question. I just remember that. And I was like, man, there's a reason why he probably has never been back on my show again. Because it takes me 6 minutes to give a 2-minute answer. That's why having Alex was here was nice, because he just gave, what do you guys think about this? That was it. That was Alex.
You are that Kim Quinlan video.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm referencing, because you called me out on it. And it's literally because you can only post videos for 2 minutes and 20 seconds on Twitter, and it's her for 2 minutes and 20 seconds asking a question. And I mean, there's a lot of those out there, like podcasters be like, and that's kind of true. That's why it's tough on this one, because we're hitting 40 minutes right now. It's so tough to keep it under 30 sometimes. And I've realized that as well, because I know the Lockdown World Junior episode that's coming out today, despite there being only one game scheduled, that being Canada and Austria with the U.S. being canceled, I think we're going to hit 40 minutes. It's not easy. Doing 2 hours was easy, Peyton, believe it or not.
But you pump out a lot of content, and it takes a special kind of person to do that. So don't let me give you too much crap, and don't let it discourage you.
I don't, man. Here's the thing. I don't let it get to me, because unfortunately, if I do, then what am I going to do? Stop and be boring? I mean, I did get a Facebook Oculus 2 for the wife and I for Christmas, but I can only do that so much in a day.
Yeah.
I'm just you flexing your diecast there?
Yeah, I got a whole diecast diorama behind me.
Oh, nice. Oh, is that hold on, stop that. Who is that? No, go back. Who is that? Because it looks like a cheap knockoff of the Dale Earnhardt Wrangler car. Davey Pearson.
Davey Pearson,
man, there's a name. By the way, Peyton and I are NASCAR fans, so people are watching it right now. The last half of the show has just been Peyton and I rambling on. That's usually how we go.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
If you ever want to check out old
Tyler and Turnage, that'll be just that.
It'll just be us just talking for 2 hours. What it is, I don't know. We'll probably mention something stupid, but it's okay. But we should end it, though, before Sean fires me. Thank you all very much for watching Locked On Capitals. Be sure to follow us at Locked On Caps. Follow Peyton down over there, right down below him there.
If you do, I'll throw in a copy of Gold Record.
At Peyton_Turnage on Twitter. Follow me, the Insider of the Insiders, Tyler Kuehl, at TJKU29 on Twitter, Instagram, and yes, Peyton, TikTok. I'm on it. I post fun stuff with my dog and fun stuff, hockey stuff. I'll be posting a fun little thing on my TikTok that was on my TikTok on Twitter about the first Winter Classic that the Washington Capitals played in back in 2011, and just have some fun with that. So that is it. I'm going to cut it off because I have to. And, Peyton and I have lives, even though we're probably going to sit here and talk for 20 minutes afterwards. That's just what we do. Anyways, goodbye, everybody.